When you deal with AI and code, sometimes it's the idea that matters because the code is more of a commodity in the platforms that you build in. And I think that's certainly the case because I've built about 50 applications in the past 3 years for different internal purposes or external clients. But it really is the idea that matters because once you start an idea, you can develop it over time and work on it. And this is something I started to work on when I went to a cocktail class in Charleston with my high school best friends on a girls' trip. We paid a guy to come, and for an hour, he talked about the history of cocktails and how they're made and why they're important and the golden ratio. And we drank, and it was fun. So when I got home, I built a prototype for an AI drink maker that I'm going to show you as part of this. But it evolved, as a lot of these applications with AI can evolve, because I started to think about, well, if I were a bar, what would make me want to make something with an AI generation behind it? And there's a lot in that, and I'm going to walk through it. But today, for this video, this is my master reel for AI cocktail playoffs. So I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to chunk it up into chapters, and I'm going to use it as my marketing because it's easier than trying to do it another way. This will be my long version, and then I'll chunk it up, so to speak. I'm going to walk through what is necessary to create an AI cocktail playoff game night. And in doing so, you'll see the drink maker and the cocktail maker and how it works. At the end, I'll go into the administration and I'll walk through how that works as well so that this can be a resource for anybody who wants to use it. But what you're going to see on the master page is my sort of atomic content strategy around this topic, because if you build things with applications, you need a database strategy called an atomic content strategy. And it breaks things down by drinks, locations, customers, ingredients, that sort of thing. So the first thing I have here are all the recipes I've made as part of this application. It's more than 70, but I'm going to go into one just to show you what it looks like. So the heart of the recipe is the preparation and what a bartender needs to do to get a drink ready. And this has AI built in that this is actually, I believe, an AI generated drink based on what is the text here, but I'd have to go in. Some are more stock photos. I'll have to check. But what a bartender can get here are the directions to make the drink in the database. So before I walk into that, though, let's talk about what's necessary to make a good drink. If you work as a bartender, you know the golden ratio, 2-1-1, meaning 2 parts spirit, 1 part sour, 1 part sweet. It's the foundation of almost every drink, and then bartenders can bring flourish to the end through different accents or treatments or how the drink is served. Is it smoked? There's a lot there. But if we can really isolate out what this is, spirit, sweet, sour, and we can store these things in the database: whiskey, gin, lemon juice, lime juice, simple syrup, honey, agave. Then we can use AI to say, based on where a person's from or what they're interested in, let's recommend a drink for them using the golden ratio. And that's sort of the foundation of this. So, if you know this science and you know that even even drinks that are more traditional have variations of this golden ratio that can be used in different ways. Is it bold? Is it gentle? Is it tart? Etc. There is just a lot of terrain that AI can grab onto. So, in essence, what this does is, at this generation of a drink level, is it allows me to create a database of spirits, meaning the drinks that are the spirit parts of the 211. It allows me to store locations by state, by county, by city. And then when we put them together, I can create a build experience using all of this. So I'm going to say, enter a city manually, and I'm going to enter Stillwater. Okay, because that's where I went to college. All right. So right now it's going to go and it's going to search my spirits database, and it's going to reach for a spirit that is near me. This is going to be what I anchor my drink with. And then I can say, okay, well, what kind of drink am I interested in making? And I built in a wild card so that if you want the system to generate it, you can. But what are you in the mood? And I'm going to be celebrating, partying. And I'm going to look for something that's more citrusy, and I'm looking for something that is just the classic golden ratio, 2-1-1. And I'm going to create my cocktail. Now, this goes into a prompt I've built to say, hey, based on what you see, my location, where I am, my attributes that I selected, come up with a recipe that we think you're going to like. And this is called Stillwater Serenity. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting, because I have a lot of AI built in administratively here, but the first thing I want to do is decide, do I like this recipe? And if I read through it, vodka, lime juice, hibiscus syrup with some sparkling water, and a treatment with some prairie sage. All right, so I decide I do want to save it. I'm going to go ahead and store it to my database as the administrator. And now this is stored in my database, and I can actually expand on this. I could add a featured image. I could add FAQs based on where Stillwater is. I could do anything from a content perspective. I could create it over again. But where this lands is in my database. And if I go in now as an admin, and I enter my passcode, here are all my cocktails, meaning my recipes. Here are those spirits, so if I want to create a new spirit, I can. Here are my events that are the AI cocktail events. Here are the prompts that control the back-end logic that dictates what a user sees. And then this is more administrative when I set up my playoff promo. But this is what I want you to see. So let's go in and let's look. Let's look for the one. I obviously create several. Stillwater Serenity is what I had selected, and I'm going to open it up. And this allows me to go in and add to this in the database. I can attach a QR code if there's a buy, purchase. I can attach an image URL to set branding on this. But this is the directions for the ingredients and the JSON that control it. This is the descriptive field. All right, so this is important because this is part of the expanding that I'm talking about. I didn't start out with all of this. I built it in as I went. But when I click generate, it's going to go in, and based on all the metadata I've anchored in my recipe so far, it's going to generate out the FAQs and the location brief on the recipe, so that when I go now into my Serenity, I have my tags, I've got all my ingredients. Let's go here, I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back to the front end. And it's likely at the very bottom here. All right. So now I have a recipe that has, I didn't add a featured image, but if I had a URL, I would, and I could do that. But it has directions to create the cocktail for the bartender in a step-by-step method. So part of the fun of this is watching the bartenders go through making these the first time. And if you think about it in advance, from an event perspective, you can record this. And it's part of the experience of the event itself that I'm going to walk you through in a minute. But this is how the builder works, takes them through exactly what to do step by step. And it has timers built in so that the crowd can see this on the board. Now, once this is done, I can decide to make another recipe. I can do whatever I want to do. I can do any step over. And I can walk back through and skip steps if I need to. I now have the ability on this recipe to have people submit a score against this. And we're judging against three criteria: taste, originality, and theme connection. Meaning if we have an event and I say it's a football night, is this about football? No, it's not. It's about Stillwater. So if it were Stillwater, this would be great, but it's about football, so maybe not. So that's sort of the fun of this. And then what we've done is we've built in, if we want to start doing experiential marketing and saying, here's all the places you can buy the cocktail, the spirit, get the recipes, we can build that in the future. All right. So now let's go through what setting up a game night involves. So remember, a game night is, we use the system to generate ideas for a theme, or we put in a theme. We generate out recipes using AI and location and attributes like I just showed you. And then we create a competition so that people in a bar can drink the drinks and then score them, and we can declare a winner. And the winner will get some incentive to play, obviously an offer for a drink or something like that at the other end. But right now I'm just going to take through what's necessary to set up a game night. All right. So this is what a game night active page looks like. So if I am in a bar holding a game night, this is projected. I'm in a referee outfit or something cuter, or I have someone cuter doing that. And we're actually moderating the event as a thing. So let's go ahead and go to the home page and join the playoffs. All right. So now I'm going to create a playoff night, and I am going to call this OU. I'm going to call this Last Bedlam Rivalry for Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. I'm going to say I'm going to have this at Eskimo Joe's. My theme is we are never getting back together. The event date, I'll just pick one like it's in the future, but this actually, they don't have Bedlam anymore because this already ended. So let's just say it was in the future on Halloween. Start time, 7 o'clock. Stillwater, Oklahoma. Now this is where the sponsor comes in. It could be a liquor if I wanted this to be Tito's vodka. It could be, but I'm just going to say that Eskimo Joe's is the sponsor. The bar is sponsoring the event. If I wanted to lay in media from Eskimo Joe's, I could, and I'm just going to go over here and say Eskimo Joe's logo ping and grab one off the intranet. Here's one on Wikipedia. Grab this. I'm going to go in and I'm going to put this in. And the brand color, I'm not going to set. I'm going to say this is hosted by Tito's Vodka, one sponsor. And then I'm going to actually set up my 4 recipes. Now what this is doing is looking at all these properties and saying, based on all of this that I'm writing in the database, generate out an event, the other atomic entity, and then give the host a key so that when I go to the bar, I can open this app and open my host console. This is my permission slip as the on-site referee to do a playoff and actually open the moderation queue. And this is what this looks like. So next, I'm at a bar. It is the night of the event. I'm going to put in my host key, and I can see these are the 4 drinks that the system generated. Drink 1, 2, 3, and 4. Citrus goodbye, I like that. The bitter breakup, alliterative, very nice. Breakup fizz, sweet separation, again, very, very nice. Now, if I have any allergens I want to add or any warnings to the people to say, don't drink this because this has this, I can add it in. We don't want anyone to get sued, so we allow this to be edited. And if we want to regenerate something that doesn't have an ingredient, we can do that. But I'm just going to approve and lock the recipes. Now, what that does is it freezes this as an event and it creates a QR code so that in the background of the system, we can say, well, we need this many ballots at the bar. And this is where the user codes come in. Because if you go into a bar and you want to play in the playoffs, you're going to scan this QR code, but you need to put in a code to say that you can only vote once. And when you vote, we have an audit of what you did from a code perspective. So I'm going to say, let's say there's 60 people in the bar. I'm just going to type in, okay, we expect 60 people. And these are printed on 2 flight cards. Or we can leave them open at the bar and write them. But generally what we're doing is we're printing out a sticker guide and we're putting a sticker out and they're just pulling a sticker. All right, now I'm going to walk through the voting next. So once I set my host key and I've approved my recipes, I can open my voting. Now my event is open, and from a user perspective, I can give a code to someone who comes to the bar and gets a flight of drinks. This code allows them to pull up the scoring on their mobile phone so that they can take part in the playoffs. All right, now I can close round 1 voting. I've scored my first drinks. Put back in my host key. got over here. All right. Now I've closed my round one voting. I can tell I have 4 ballots in. I'm the one who was scoring it, so there's just me. And it tells me who the finalists are at the bottom, and then I can reveal the finalists to the public, and then I can open final voting. Now, these 2 drinks are in the app for the final round of voting. All right, now I have my final round. I can score it. Locking it in my phone as we speak. Lock score, lock score. Now if I come back, I can see I have 2 ballots are scored. I can close my final voting, and then I can reveal my champion based on total points. All right. Now I'm going to wrap up the event, and the winner is the Breakout Fizz. We can see the live site is updated with champion crowned, and then the lineup is here, and it announces the drinks. So that is going to be what game night is. The only part of the application I really didn't hit on is, let's say we want to have an event where we're really head to head and we've got 2 teams that are playing each other, let's say, in a game. I can go in and I can say, well, my team is Oklahoma State, and we can also allow people to generate recipes based on their school or what they like. So because we can save all this to the database and everything then is organized and sorted by the tags and keywords and attributes, this database becomes a living, breathing content cocktail knowledge graph of all these recipes that could be made and sold in all these different establishments. Thanks for listening.